fellow travelers. Today we're talking about something super important on the Camino de Santiago: sleep. Yes, getting sleep is a must. In this video, I'm going to share all of my top tips on getting a good night's rest on the Camino de Santiago. Also, if you're new here, hi, I'm Jen, and I talk about mindful travel that changes you on this channel. I walked the Camino Frances from August to September over 33 days, and it was an experience that I'm never gonna forget. But getting a solid night rest on the Camino is crucial. A lot of pilgrims I met struggled with sleep as well, especially when you have jet lag. It's really tough when you're walking 15 miles or 24 kilometers the next day when you haven't slept well. Yeah, and I know it's pretty shocking, but even on the days that I walked 15 miles or more, that night I still struggled to sleep sometimes. I know, it's crazy. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and I wouldn't be able to fall back asleep. So let's dive in. I'm excited to share my top tips so that you can get a good night's rest on the Camino de Santiago. Okay, so my first tip: choose your accommodations wisely. Your accommodations are going to have a huge impact on your sleeping situation. You can choose to stay in hotels, albergues, or Airbnbs along the Camino. On my Camino, I struggled a lot with sleep in the first 2 weeks. My home in Los Angeles is 9 hours behind the time zone in Spain. So getting used to the time zone, having that be an adjustment, was an uphill climb. Then you're also gonna have a lot of anticipation, probably, maybe some nervous energy about walking so far the next day. So it can be a little bit hard to close your eyes and put your mind at ease. Fortunately, by 2 to 3 weeks in, I had adjusted and I was finally getting a lot of great rest. That's my experience. So now let's run through the accommodations so you can decide what's best for you. So hotels are probably going to be your most luxurious option on the Camino. Getting a hotel room is great if you're not on a budget and you're looking for a more private experience. When you stay at a hotel, you're going to have your own bed, privacy, bed sheets, your own shower. So that's really nice. You won't have to worry about other people. That said, you never know when there might be like a noisy air conditioner, or if you have like paper thin walls and the person in the room next to you is talking to their boyfriend late at night. So you don't know if that's gonna happen. If you're really worried about getting a good night's rest on the Camino, I do recommend booking a hotel room for the first couple nights, especially if you've just landed and you're dealing with jet lag. I really think while you're adjusting to life on the Camino, this is gonna help. Of course, you could also opt to stay at a hotel room every like 6 or 7 nights, just to maybe give yourself a little bit of a break. That might be a better option if you're working with a budget. Of course, you can stay at hotels the whole way if you want. I actually met a couple pilgrims from Australia, and they were taking 2 to 3 months to do the Camino, and they were staying at hotels the whole way. You know, it's really to each their own. However you want to do the Camino, you do you. The one interesting thing I did find about staying in albergues was that I usually managed to fall asleep earlier when I stayed in an albergue, and when I stayed in a private room in a hotel, I actually stayed up later. Like, I wouldn't go to sleep until midnight, because I think having other people around me who are going to bed at like an earlier hour kind of like, you know, influenced me to go to bed earlier. So that's kind of one perk about shared accommodations you might want to consider. So on that note, let's talk about albergues. Albergues, usually you'll be sharing a dorm room with as few as 4 people, or even up to 50 or 100 people in the same room. And usually in my experience, the fewer people there are in a room, the better chance of a good night's rest I'm gonna have. That's not always the case. Usually if there's less people in the room, there's, you know, probably gonna be a chance that like maybe there's only one person snoring in the room instead of one person on your right and one person on your left snoring, or, you know, the other person who needs to use the bathroom in the middle of the night, you know? So usually the less people, just like the less disruption you're gonna have throughout your night. Or even like maybe you're the one who snores and who has to get up in the middle of the night and you're worried about disrupting everybody else. I know that that was a big concern for me. I mean, I don't snore, of course, like I don't snore, come on. But there are definitely moments where I was like tossing and turning, or I needed to get up, and every single creak in the bed just like put me on edge, and I was just going into a spiral worrying that like I had woken somebody else up. So that can be like a nice thing about staying in a private room, is like you just have to worry about yourself, you know? This was also a reason why sometimes I would skip a popular stage of the Camino and stay at a less popular one, because usually I would find an albergue that just had less people per room. The thing about albergues that you'll find is that it's the most affordable option, first of all, and second, it's really the best way to meet people on the Camino. I'm definitely a proponent of doing the Camino your own way, you know, find what works for you. If you're thinking about staying in an albergue, I really recommend like do it. It feels like a classic must-have Camino experience, so go for it. Also, another thing that a lot of people don't think about is that you can get a private room at an albergue sometimes, not all the time, but some albergues will offer a private room option. So that could be a really happy medium if you're looking to socialize, but also want some privacy. Another great option is booking a private room at an Airbnb. Usually you could find an Airbnb in a little bit of a larger town. Like I stayed at one in Zubiri, which was great. I stayed in one in Logroño. I love that one. So that's always an option, and you might be able to meet some other people in your Airbnb as well. If you're looking for more tips on accommodations, I do have a whole video dedicated to this. I'll put the link in the description below. Okay, sleeping tip number 2. Gear, sleeping gear on the Camino. These are items I would not do the Camino without, because they are so essential to getting a good night's rest on the Camino. First up are earplugs, or some form of noise canceling headphones. These are my AirPods, and I honestly never would have survived without these. I had tried foam earplugs that I got from CVS before leaving, and they kind of worked, but they did not do the trick like these babies right here. Let me tell you. I would just put these in and put on the noise cancellation, and then play a meditation or an audio book. I really like Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer as a great audiobook to just lull you into a good night's rest. And let me tell you, this worked like a charm. I'm so grateful for these AirPods. If I had lost these, I don't know what I would have done. Now, I understand this might not work for you if you struggle to fall asleep with something in your ear. That can be an uncomfortable sensation for some people. But for me, it was really crucial. On that note, I'm going to add a meditation app and an audiobook app on your list for the Camino. I use Headspace. They have a really nice selection of sleep sounds. They have like a rain one that is just a total dream, and it works like a charm. And then also Audible is the audiobook app that I use, and that one is really great. I also love listening to Harry Potter when I fall asleep. Jim Dale's narration is great. If you know it, let me know in the comments. Next thing on your essential sleeping gear guide is a sleeping mask that you can put over your eyes before you go to bed. This is so crucial. I brought one with me because honestly, you're never gonna know if there's gonna be like a street light shining through your room that's making everything brighter. If someone accidentally turns on their flashlight on their cell phone in the middle of the night and they're walking through the albergue, having a sleeping mask is so crucial to sleeping well, in my opinion. So this is kind of a funny story, but I actually lost my sleeping mask somewhere along the Camino. I think I just forgot to pack it. It was probably like hidden in the mattress somewhere. And I was searching town to town asking for una máscara para los ojos, and not many stores kept this in stock. Finally, when I made it to Sarria, I was able to find one at a tourist shop. Let me show you. Let me show you the one that I found. This one right here, okay? You see this? So I ended up spending the rest of my Camino wearing this stylish mask on my face here. I'll demonstrate. So that was pretty great, but you know, whatever's on the front, it worked really well and it blocked the light out for me. So grateful for this sleeping mask that I found. So another thing that I consider essential on the Camino for getting a good night's rest is melatonin. Now, some people have mixed feelings about taking melatonin, and I totally understand. But I found it handy, especially when I was recovering from jet lag. If you are skeptical about using melatonin, I recommend just bringing like a couple with you that you can use. You know, if it's been 3 nights and you haven't slept, you know, you might just be willing to try about anything. So melatonin really works for me. Also, let's talk about sleeping bags and sleeping bag liners. If you're going at a cooler time of year like spring or fall, you probably want to bring a sleeping bag. Now, if you're going at a hotter time of year, of course in the summer, just bring a sleeping bag liner. That's what I did. I walked through August and September and it was really hot. So I brought this silk sleeping bag liner with me, which worked really well. And look at how compact it gets when it folds down. So this was really great. Now, most people don't consider like the width of the liner. Mine was 33 inches wide, which worked okay. But if you're someone who likes to like be in the fetal position or like spread out their legs when they sleep at night, you might want to try a wider option. You can find ones at 45 inches wide instead. That probably will be more comfortable, but keep in mind that extra material is going to add precious weight. It'll add a couple more ounces to the weight of your pack. I also recommend finding a silk sleeping bag liner. I've read in forums online that silk repels bed bugs, and I got bed bugs twice on my Camino, so I don't know if that's really true. But the nice thing about silk is that it keeps you cool in hot weather, which is really a big deal because when it's really hot in the albergue, that can be a big reason why you might not be able to fall asleep. So having a silk sleeping bag liner is really nice, and it also just has a really nice feel on your skin, which can also impact, you know, your comfort level, how you'll be able to fall asleep and stay asleep. So this one that I brought with me is unfortunately sold out online, but I found a couple different options for you that are silk sleeping bag liners, and I put those in the description below if you're interested in checking those out. Okay, friends and fellow pilgrims, if you have suggestions on how to get a good night's rest on the Camino de Santiago, or something that you tried really worked for you, please drop a comment below. I'd love to read those, and also I think it would be really helpful for other people watching this video to just share tips and advice, so that'd be great. All in all, I just want to add, even on the nights when I didn't sleep well on the Camino, I was still so grateful for the experience. I kind of think, you know, hopefully you sleep well, hopefully these tips help you a ton. But if it happens and you don't have a good night's rest, like, I think it's kind of just part of the experience of being there, you know? It's just, you know, when you sign up for the Camino, this is kind of what you gotta know going in, you know? This is part of the experience, kind of a rite of passage maybe. If you're a heavy sleeper, great for you. But for those of us who, you know, kind of struggle a little bit, you know, hopefully these tips are helpful. Plus, overall, just the camaraderie of sharing spaces in an albergue with fellow pilgrims and just being on this community, being on this shared purpose together, it just feels really good and it just fills you with purpose. So I feel like if you're thinking about staying in an albergue, definitely do it. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more Camino tips and inspiring travel videos coming soon. Thank you so much for watching, and buen camino!